72. The NCAA tournament will resume with the Sweet 16 beginning on Thursday into Friday, followed by the Elite 8 Saturday and Sunday. It's 83 degrees at 2 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Now, Lauren Brooks, Taylor Dahl, and Tom McManus. This is
Helmets and Heels.
Helmets and Heels on 1010XL.
That's right. Tom McManus is back. I loved crosstalk when Tom said, we're going to welcome me back to the show.
Well, that's what your rundown said. Your rundown said, welcome Tom back. So I'm like, well,
You read the
I couldn't
rundown.
really think what we were going to talk about. So I was like, I know that. I saw
here.
that on an email.
I'm back, most importantly.
I did not say it like that at all.
It was by far the
At
best
all.
crosstalk I've heard, and I needed it. I needed a pick-me-up because, well, you obviously had a vacation last week. I need a vacation after that loss last night.
Yeah.
Florida losing to Iowa. We'll, I guess we'll talk about that. I don't really want to. But, Tom, more importantly, vacation.
Yeah.
You went to the British Virgin Islands.
We did.
And you were on a boat the whole time.
On a 56-foot catamaran with 3 couples. It was my friend Robbie and his wife's 30th wedding anniversary.
Nice.
And let me just tell you, he did it up big time. It was a private jet, the catamaran for a week with a chef.
Wow.
Zoe and Brad, they're the captain and the chef, they're co-captains, whatever. And just phenomenal. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, the most beautiful landscape I think I've ever seen in my life. And not just the water, but the water's pretty special. But the mountains are all just lush and grass, trees and just beautiful. Volcanic rock all over the place. We did a lot of, sightseeing and touring and found these, different places to go. Like on a hike, we ended up in this like, I don't know what even you call it. It's like a bath, but the waves come breaking in, so it'll fill up the water, and they tell you don't get near the opening because it'll suck you out into the ocean and all that stuff. So just little things like that, really, really cool. But yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. It was good to get away. I'm still rocking. I went up to go to the bathroom last night. I'm like, whoa, I'm holding on to the shower door. Like, what the heck's going on? A little cramped for a bigger guy, in the bathroom and shower area. But I stayed up top most of the time. I got seasick once. We had a couple rough days. But we look, at the end, we're like, all right, out of 7 days and all the trips, we had 2 rough rides. And other than that, it was smooth sailing for the most part. Our last stop, I just got to say it, and I'll show you the pictures in the break or something. It was in this cove, and I think it was the backside of St. John's, and it was the lush mountains coming down. There were houses as well, all the way down to like a little bit of beach, private beach, and volcanic rock. It looked like a painting. It was so beautiful. We're all just sitting there like as the sun's going down and, the lights are going down. You see the different colors of the water going in. You're just like, man, this is like God's painting right here. It was just so cool. So I'm glad we did it.
Amazing.
I was the last one to say yes because I'm not a boat person.
Right.
I'm just not. I like going on boats here and there, but to live on a boat for a week, was just not my thing. But I'll tell you, would I do that again? I don't know if I do it again, but I would go to one of those islands and then get a couple day passes to, island hop or whatnot. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I feel like
anyway.
a catamaran with a private chef may make it a little easier to be on a
let me tell
boat
you
for
something.
7 days.
cooking
But it
from
sounds, the pictures
scratch.
you sent us, I mean, looked gorgeous. The scenery looked gorgeous. The boat looked nice and sunshine, and that's everything you can ask for a
That's right.
vacation and
Yeah.
the people you love.
Yeah, and a lot of laughs. We laughed a lot. So, Jack and Donna, shout out to you too. You guys were great. We
Yeah.
had a
Happy
as I said,
anniversary.
happy anniversary, Robbie and Jen. 30 years. 30.
That's amazing.
He's like, wait. We were together for like 36. I want credit for all of
I
them.
did those 6 years too.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds
So,
like his
yeah.
wife appreciated it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All the wives were in heaven. They were all treated like princesses.
I'm sure.
It was great, and they are huge Gator fans. I mean, big Gator fans.
So, like me, they're sad today.
Not happy. Robbie
Sad
and I
last night,
were
sad today.
we were texting back and forth. When you guys went down, I was like, oh man, this is unbelievable. Like they came out in that second half on fire, and then you came back. I'm like, oh well, then they got it. Like momentum's got to. And it just kept hanging around. And you know much better than I do, but just watching them, it looked like their bigs were pretty good against Florida's bigs. And then the guards just.
Especially when they're throwing punches.
Yeah.
At the ball.
It was a physical game. I saw that guy hits the 3 at the end. I mean, that was like leaving the wide receiver. That's like Greg Newsome leaving the wide receiver wide open in the playoff game. You know what I mean?
When I woke up today, I was like, the way that the Jags season ended with the postseason loss to the Bills and the way the Gators season ended last night are so eerily similar. The defensive miscues for both the Jaguars and the Gators, and then too many turnovers from the offense. So incredibly similar. And then obviously Florida not making free throws there late. I told you all season could be an issue potentially.
Iowa missed a lot of layups, though, too. It just seemed like not really good basketball.
It wasn't really
sloppy.
Disjointed game, and we knew Iowa likes to play slow, so you had to kind of expect that. We had Patrick Young on the show with us at Big Dogs on Friday, and he was telling us a story of how Billy Donovan made them practice when they knew they were going to play a team that was really slow and like to slow things down. They would practice like that with the scout team and everything to be prepared to not have as many possessions and the shot clock running down on you and stuff like that. But I don't know that Todd Golden necessarily did that same exact type of thing. I feel like Todd Golden is regretting probably the way the ending went. He says he told them to foul with about 8 seconds left. Then how does nobody foul? Right? Like with that,
you barely have
pass.
to touch anybody to foul.
Correct. And they were calling fouls left and right.
Yeah, there was a ton on each side, and that's what I heard. There are a lot of aspects of this game. I feel like. When it comes to Iowa, I just feel like the coach matched well in the sense he was able to kind of, that's what we talked about the whole time, is their game is a little slow, so Florida's going to want to speed it up, and it did feel like Florida was trying to do that, but Iowa, as much as possible, was able to kind of stay in their realm of how they feel comfortable playing, and some of the shots I feel like a little lucky at times, especially in the paint, where I was like, how did that even go in? But you get those at certain times, but I think that what we've talked about Florida all year, obviously, was what they do when it comes to the rebounds and that the physical side of things. And so when you can't totally play your physical side of basketball because there are a lot of fouls being called, and it was on both teams. I felt like every 25 seconds there was some foul being called. And then you also are getting matched rebounding. And so those two things, all of a sudden you're taking two of your biggest strengths and you can't really do one because you're getting called for everything. And then you're getting matched when it comes to the rebounding side of things. It takes away a large portion of what Florida's game was this year. And I feel like that to me is what stood out, especially that first half. And then Florida was turning the ball over. That was something Pat said, I want to see less turnovers. And it was a problem earlier in the season. It got better. And then this last stretch of games with Kentucky and Vandy, there was some issues in turnovers. And then that kind of showed. And to this, at least in the first half, there was 7 or 8 in the first half. It got a little bit better. But then you saw a couple late ones that, ended up kind of shifting the game back when Florida ended up getting up by 6. So
I think Friday night is when Gator Nation thought, okay, well, now the Florida team that we saw beat teams like Arkansas and Alabama, like now this team, they got over whatever happened in Nashville in the SEC tournament, and now they're back, right? Yeah. Because they beat Prairie View A&M by so much that the coach early in the game was saying he needed help from the Lord.
Like, I need the Lord.
It was so funny. But yeah, that's where I think people were like, all right, this team now really
back.
can, make it to the Final Four, and just did not expect. Everyone was talking about Vanderbilt, right? Like down the road, which of course Nebraska ended up beating Vanderbilt. I feel like no one was really worried about Iowa. They obviously needed to be because, Ben McCollum, the head coach, did a great job. And I don't know if that guy was punching out the ball, Fulgaris, or not, because there's certain shots that you see that it looks like he was hitting Condon's chest, but either way, Florida had the opportunity time and time again to play better. And in the first half, obviously, they played like crap. And then you had them crying after the game because they know how well they played at times this year. And Chinyelu just didn't really show up. He had 0 points and one rebound.
That was one of the bigger unfortunate things because that has been so obviously you talk about all year him being the defensive player of the year. And so when you're talking about those conversations, you're like, well, you have Chinyelu coming into this stretch when you get into the tournament, and that's going to be a massive player. And for your player that you're counting on doing so many different things, not really showing up at the game, that's when you're kind of like, oh, it
was crushing.
Yeah.
Well, he had 4 fouls. Was that all in the first half?
He had 4 fouls, I think in the first half.
Okay,
at least
that's
3 in the first half.
I think there was like 11 minutes or 12 minutes left when he hit the 4th.
Okay.
I remember them saying that because I want to say that the Iowa kid that made that shot and also punched the ball, he he had like 3 by half, and then he ended up getting the 4th. And I remember at that he got the 4th and was kind of being aggressive in the paint, and the announcer was like, not a good idea, because that sometimes you just have to realize that letting them get 2 points compared to you potentially getting fouled out is that you've got to kind of take some of those things into consideration. And so it was one of those games where I was like, okay, can we just stop with the whistle for a second?
The refs, I thought, did a horrendous job.
Yeah, they were calling everything, even things that didn't look like it was that big of a deal.
Like, let the guys play. If both teams want to play physical, let them play physical.
Let them be physical, yeah. I thought, like, I said this to you off air, and I didn't know Iowa was known for playing that slow, but they come out on fire. Like, man, your timing is really good. You're hitting your shots. You go up, and then they're like, let's play keep away. And they're not making any of their shots. And I'm like, they're going to come back if you keep doing that. That was really weird. Now, the last play, because I'm sure it's getting criticized, right? Lynn went all the way in. I think he was trying to dump it to Haw, maybe. But there was that. Was it Lee? I'm sorry. Yeah. Lee. So there was that alleyway that they kept making on the right. The big guys were doing it. And I kept going, can anybody get in the way? They couldn't get in the way. It was wild. They give right around. So I think he was trying to get in that lane.
He was trying to
make the
pass
shot.
It to Houck,
But it was, man, I would have set up a shot for Houck. Like he was on fire. I know he missed the 2 threes, but I would have given him that chance again. Like my old play call would have been like, all right, get it down and then kick it out to him, and hopefully he can make the shot.
When you have the lead, at that point, you should win the basketball game with about a minute left to play.
Right.
So there are so many things that went wrong. Obviously, they didn't guard Fulgaris. They left him wide open. And then they just looked like a team that had never really played a close game. I went back and looked at the entire schedule this season because I didn't remember Florida winning any close games. They won 1 close game all season against Vanderbilt, though. They won by 4 points.
Yep.
That's the only close game that Florida won all season. Obviously, they won a ton of games, but they won by wide margins. So what does that not have you do? That does not have you in that end game situation with the entire tournament on the line. And that's where we obviously saw it fall apart.
Yeah. And then the ones early on when you were losing against the top teams right now, like a Duke and a UConn and some of those, you
lost all those.
You lost them.
Right.
And so you do
all
kind
those
of
were close.
Yeah, they were close games, but you couldn't win them. And so I do think, it comes to that. There was a point just talking about the Iowa side of things, that play to me, them going down and going for that 3, because the announcers are like, do you just take 2 here and tie it, or what do you do? I liked the aggressiveness of that because it was just kind of like, go for it and win it. You're in the spot where you can take the game right now. But I do think it was, you're taking a bit of a risk for that because they weren't shooting very well. Nobody was in that game from outside the perimeter. And then for a while, I want to say it was only like 54% at the line for them in the first half. Like, it was bad. They couldn't make a free throw, Iowa. And so I was like, this is going to end up killing them down the stretch. And then they kind of went on a little bit of a run when they got better at the line. But there were things where it felt like a little discombobulated for a long period of time. I think Florida went 8 minutes without scoring for 1 point before half. That's not a winning recipe. I don't know how you would, even if you won that, I'd be concerned if they had gotten out of that.
And
game.
This hasn't happened all year. Florida didn't have scoring droughts. That used to happen with Mike White, the previous coach. It doesn't happen under Todd Golden.
Who was the guy in their team? He missed an easy layup, and they're like, oh, he doesn't finish. And the other guy goes, well, he has trouble finishing. and then like 2 plays later, he gets the steal, and he's wide open. He bounces it off his foot. He bounced it right off his foot. It was just like, oh, my God.
They missed a few easy layups, I felt like.
Bears.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I don't
it was
want to talk
exciting.
about it anymore. This is getting worse and worse by the minute.
That's the madness, all right?
Yeah.
That's the madness.
Sure, but let it happen to a different 1 seed, not my team.
No, I know. It's terrible. The 9 seed beat a 1 seed, but we'll forget about it after this segment.
You don't
It's
know how
absolutely
much
disgusting.
time
No, I know.
I invested in this basketball team.
I know.
I have for the longest time.
But who was the,
since
was it,
1984.
how about Vandy, how they lost? Like, that ball went almost in.
Oh, yeah.
And it bounced, like, the
Inside
backboard,
was
like,
wild.
it was in, and then it bounced out. You're like,
And
That's
the
the
madness.
double
That's
doink
the
of the
madness.
basketball.
You were still on the boat on Friday, but
Yeah.
did you see the Kentucky ending?
I did not see the
Okay.
Kentucky ending.
That
no.
was
a wild one.
crazy game.
Was it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and very crazy game. We'll show you or talk more about it next.
Okay.
But let's get it to the Seahawks. I want to talk some NFL football
Yeah.
since there's some deals going on, and
Big.
no Bobo to Jacksonville since the Seahawks decided to reach an agreement with him. So we'll talk about all that. You're listening to Helmets and Heels. I don't want to talk any more basketball, okay?
Or maybe Gators right now because the baseball team got swept too.
Also
we
Just throw salt
Sorry.
in there. That's some sea salt.
Who made you mad
Somebody
today?
texted on the text line and was like, bad weekend for Florida fans. And I was like,
That's actually not true. If we want to talk
about
the
gymnastics.
SEC gymnastics title that we won on Saturday night.
Field hockey,
We'll talk
golf
football.
team.
It's Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday, 10 to next on 92.5 FM.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
Yeah.
Is everything okay? We heard an awful ruckus.
No, everything's fine here. Yeah, it's great.
So you're fine?
Mornings.
Yeah, couldn't be better.
On 1010XL.
Not everyone is built for a cubicle. At Local 234, apprentices get paid to learn hands-on skills like plumbing, pipe fitting, HVAC, the stuff Jacksonville runs on. No endless lectures, no massive student debt, just hands-on training, real jobs, and real pay. This is how you level up, by doing work that actually matters. Check them out at UA234.com. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Local 234. Make the right connection.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
And that concludes the Josie Jack of All Trades show. Tune in next week where I'll be installing my own French drain.
Joe, wake up, man.
Hey, John, I must have dozed off.
We finished those projects you started.
Whoa, my seamless gutters are actually seamless.
And they're connected into underground PVC drain lines.
And my sprinklers. Wow, look at that coverage.
Next time, just call me first, Joe.
I will, but I ain't singing that song.
Clear water irrigation
and drainage too.
I'm Chris Campione. Auto accidents can leave you feeling lost and overwhelmed. But at Campione Law, we're here to guide you with a personal touch through every step of the process. We don't get paid unless you get paid. CampioneLaw.com.
Count on Campione. Campione Law. Get out of the city and into the woods and the water.
Keep on working it.
On the Nimnicht Outdoors Show, Captain Kevin and Captain Kirk join Jeff Lageman.
I am shooting one today.
Get hooked Saturday morning from 7 to 10 on 1010XL.
Some auto shops call it an inspection and flag any little thing. That's called a wallet flush. At AA Automotive, they don't play that game. They fix only what needs fixing. AA Automotive on Richard Street. Boring name, awesome service, and no wallet flush.
Frank Frangie here for Coil Fencing. Since 1927, Jacksonville has trusted Coil Fencing to protect what matters. And I trust them too. From tough chain link to your commercial project to sleek aluminum fencing your HOA will love, Coil does it all. Did you know that Coil can also install, service, and maintain those automatic gates that help protect your neighborhood or business? To schedule a complimentary consultation, visit CoilJacks.com. That's C-O-Y-L-E, Jacks.com. Coil Fencing, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
At the First Coast YMCA, there's no place like this place, with programs and experiences that will bring your whole family together. Summer will be here before we know it, and Y Summer Day Camp registration is now open. Visit your local Y to secure your child's spot early for a season full of memories and adventure. Don't delay. Day camps will fill up. There's no place like this place, so visit your local Y to sign up or online at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
Longer days, warmer nights, and a backyard that brings everyone together. Spring and summer in Florida means pool days, backyard barbecues, and night swims under the stars. Pick it here. For nearly 50 years, Surfside Pools have been creating the backdrops for life's best memories. From weekly service and repairs to remodels, commercial maintenance, and new pool construction, Surfside does it all. Ready to float happy? SurfsidePools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools. Summer starts here. License number CPC 044080.
I'm Frank Frangie. Life-changing is an understatement for the 180 I've seen with my daughter Amber. She's now lost over 100 pounds with Awaken 180 in just 9 months. A true 180. Not just on the scale either, in her energy, her confidence, the way she lives. And what I love about Awaken 180 is we knew it would work. It wasn't a hope. It wasn't a guess that maybe it'll work. Amber started the programming knowing this was going to be her solution. Now, you've heard stories from our hosts and clients and probably people you know personally who've reclaimed their life thanks to Awaken 180. It works for the person who needs to lose 25 pounds. It worked for Matt Hayes, who wanted to lose 40. It worked for Hacker, who's lost more than 120 pounds. And it's worked for Amber, who's well over 100. That's why I believe in it. Whatever your scale number is, call the number that will work for you. 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com. Once again, that number is 844-346-1800, or you can reach them online at awaken180weightloss.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back. Tom McManus on vacation last week as we were just rehashing Florida losing to Iowa 73-72. Florida doesn't even make it out of Tampa and make it to the next round. Yes, it is okay for Gator fans because we won the national championship last year, yes. But you're still going to be frustrated, and this is not going to sit well because as you look to the future, you don't know what the roster is going to look like. But speaking of rosters, so we learned this morning that Jackson Smith and Jigba had a really good Monday as he gets a deal worth, it's 4 years worth, $168 million with $120 million guaranteed. He will average $42.15 million per year. Of course, that makes him the highest paid wide receiver. He's now ahead of Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, DK Metcalf, and Garrett Wilson. Jamar is the only receiver in the 40s, by the way. He's $40.25 million.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah, good for Jackson Smith and Jigba. But I really thought that because of that transaction, that the Seahawks wouldn't be able to then afford wide receiver Mike Bobo. That's Jake. Yeah, that's the Georgia offensive coordinator. Jake Bobo, who a couple weeks ago, most people probably had never heard of Jake Bobo. And then once the Jaguars tried to get him, now everyone's going to be bummed that he's not going to be a Jaguars because the secret.
Yeah. Well, he had the one, it was a touchdown catch or it was a big catch?
He was talked about a bit in the playoffs. Everyone kind of thought he was like the secret weapon for Seattle in the playoffs that he was going to, because you can obviously plan around the main guys like a Jackson Smith and Jig, but everyone was like, watch out for Jake Bobo in this playoff because he's that type of guy that can be the red zone threat and that kind of in those type of situations when you need him. I don't think he ended up making the impact that some people thought they were in the playoffs, but he was a name talked about quite a bit going into the postseason. So I do think some Jags fans probably heard that. You're also talking about an offense that was a top offense and just won the Super Bowl when it comes to like scoring points per game. And so there's always, and you just feel like you're never mad when you add another weapon, especially one that you kind of know, and he's known as having sure hands, being good in the red zone, being good, that kind of good blocker. He does a little bit of everything. That's what you
like a younger
want
Tim Patrick is what we kind of thought we were getting.
Which is why you got Tim Patrick. I was kind of curious, why you would. I mean, I get it, give him, Trevor another red zone, threat. But I would think that might come from a tight end position, But whatever, they match it. We move on. I'm glad we're trying. I guess I don't. It's funny. I saw an article on was it CBS Sportsline. I was talking about my podcast earlier, and they did winners and losers, and they called the Jags the biggest losers of free agency. And it's just you feel like they didn't do anything that
you just lost more than you gained.
Lost more than you didn't replenish. You didn't replenish your stars. It's not over yet, right? We still got to see. And then the question, if they're gonna do it all through the draft, let's just say, right? So are we reloading? Are we rebuilding? Where are we at? You know what I mean? Like we're gonna have if you're relying on rookies to fill some really specific needs that this team needs. Mm-hmm. And now, granted, we may not know how they feel about who knows, Mason Smith. You saw the workout video; he looked great. I looked at the workout video. Look at me, I'm working out. Whatever, you do it, but he looks phenomenal. Yeah. Like if he could maybe they feel like he could transition. Maybe he can make that impact. Maybe Danny Strigow can come inside. We don't know. There's things that we don't know how they feel. But when you look at it from the outside, you're like, we didn't do anything to address the interior defensive line yet. So to date, I could see where, if you're looking at it from that perspective, like, well, how do you grade the Jags? I don't know. They didn't really do anything. They lost a bunch of, some good guys, but they didn't really, replenish those positions.
They added Chris Rodriguez from the outside.
Right,
and
which is nice.
They did not add a defensive tackle. They did not add a linebacker.
Right. And Rodriguez isn't ETN. They're different kind of players, right? And he's more of a bulldozer, gonna run between the tackles. They want that. That's great. But on a whole scale of things, you're like, oh, okay, that's no disrespect. I'm sure he's a great back and a tough guy to bring down. And I don't mean it to sound like it's not that impactful. It might be really impactful. But when you're looking at it from the outside in, you're like, well, what have they really done so far?
Right. Nationally, all they see is you lost 13 touchdowns, total touchdowns from ETN, and you lost
a second-team All-Pro.
And a second-team All-Pro linebacker.
You let him walk. And I saw where Devin said in his presser, the Jags made an offer.
Yeah.
We just don't know what the offer was.
No, right, well, yeah,
and we never will.
Yeah, and I also think even with the Chris Rodriguez, some people may be looking at it like it's obvious it's not a Kenneth Walker or one of those big running back names that have really proven themselves in the NFL either. When we talked to Justin Mello, who covers the draft last week, because he was a big fan of Bashal Tootin, so I mentioned that, and he said he has a lot of high expectations for Tootin, but he kind of was like Chris Rodriguez is more of like a rotational. I don't think he can be a main back in the NFL. That's how he views him. We'll see what the Jags do, but I can see nationally people seeing it more like that. Like you're replacing a guy that had 13 touchdowns on your team as a running back last year with a running back who hasn't been able to do much in the NFL since he's been here. And so you have to, that can shift because we've seen what Liam Cohen can do with running backs and his stops obviously in Tampa and then here in Jacksonville too, kind of the resurgence of what ETN was this year. But I still think that people are like, okay, you signed a running back that cool.
Is he going to give us 13 touchdowns
that's
next
what most
year?
people out from the outside would say no.
Right.
He certainly hasn't been given the
correct
amount of carries to be able to
the load.
To be able to see what he can do. But
is that because they don't think he can?
The Commanders obviously moved on from him, and did not think that.
Right.
And the Jaguars, I would say, spent a ton in free agency last year because they had the room and they were trying to raise the floor of the roster, as we've discussed, but they clearly missed on De'Ami Brown, right? Like what they paid him, what they thought about him was that he was going to be a huge contributor for this offense, and he was a healthy scratch at the end of the season. So I wonder too, because they don't have as much money, I feel like they probably feel more confident about the guys that are in the draft, that they can research and things like that versus the big, money free agents.
Yeah. And I think with Chris Rodriguez, it's kind of like with ETN last year. He's the insurance policy if the young guys can't be consistent with their game, right? With Tootin still, you have that little inkling of will he hold on and not have fumbling be anything. And I don't want that out there in the universe, you know what I'm saying? But if he does, you can't play him. Like, so who do I bring in? Well, LeQuint can't handle that load. Maybe a kid they grab in the draft, maybe. But let's grab somebody that at least showing some promise. Yeah. He hasn't shown a lot, but he's shown some promise.
Well,
he's
Liam
a tough runner. Liam knows him from Kentucky.
Yeah, a ton
absolutely. New run game coordinator. I'm being, glass half full here.
Sure,
but,
and he was good at Kentucky, by the way.
Yeah, he was. Absolutely. But then again, you go back to, okay, well, ETN... no, although I wouldn't have paid him what he got. I don't think I would have paid him if I was the Jags. No, I don't, because then you really got to play him, and you got to play him a lot. You want Tootin to eventually be the guy. I mean, you feel like that's the plan, right? Like he's gonna be our workhorse, and then LeQuint comes in, or maybe they get a scat back or whatever, somebody that offsets that kind of game. And Rodriguez, I guess, is more of an interior runner, so he'll pound. Yep. We need that, so that's that could be good. But how are you going to replace the 1-3? That's a lot of points. 13 touchdowns is a lot of points to replace. So if they can, great. If they can't, then you just gotta wonder.
Yeah, if they can't replace that, then they're not going to win as many games, clearly.
Yeah. Well, they don't necessarily have to replace it just with the running backs. Maybe get a half from the running backs and maybe this new tight end that'll come in. That'll be more part of the passing game.
Yeah.
Maybe that he gets half. Then you're like, okay, I replaced it just with more than one guy.
I don't want this team to be predictable, and I feel like that's what Liam Cohen's really good at. And so that's where, to me, having the running back that also is really good catching the ball out of the backfield, that creates that concern for the defense, right? Like they have to watch out for not just a guy running the ball, but also catching it.
And how is Chris out of the backfield, with catching the football? Do we know?
It's not a big part of his game at all.
Yeah, okay.
The Commanders at least didn't use him like that.
And Kentucky, he really wasn't used either.
So the screen game, you know what I mean? Like if he's your pounder, you're not worried about any pass.
Right. That's where I feel like it's going to be up to Tootin and LeQuint to be
figure that out.
Yeah, to be tasked with that.
Well, listen, I mean, they've got a plan. It's there. That's their running back room. They'll probably add maybe one later in their draft.
I would think so.
See what they can do. Hopefully it's a real speedster, that can catch the ball out of the back. That's what I'd be looking for. I want a guy that can catch the ball easily out of the backfield and that's got really wicked good speed.
If you're trying to find a guy faster than Tootin, good luck.
You don't have to be faster, but but for whatever, just someone that's quick, fast, gives you something a little bit different than that. That's what is on your roster right now.
Sure. Look, I think what they've told us to this point is they weren't going to pay their running back or their linebacker. That was obvious. Even if they had an offer for Devin, they weren't going to go up to what they wanted. And then they are going to build through the draft at this point in time. That's what their moves so far have been.
Well, and even with Devin, like you got to replace. He was all pro. That means a lot. Nobody else was in your scheme.
Yeah.
By the way. He's a scheme player. Well, he's the best player.
Yeah,
but whatever.
There's
Let
a
him
lot
roll.
of unknown for right now, for sure. Like I'm excited to watch this team practice to try and figure out, especially after the draft. But even I would love to see if they had to line up right now, what would their starting lineup be? I think they would have most of it filled out, but I don't know who the linebacker opposite Foye-Luakin would be.
Yeah, and we talked about it a lot, Tommy, last week because we were seeing all of the rankings of, grades when it comes to after free agency and even the rankings of where they've dropped in Jags and everyone they dropped because you're talking about the replacements that they had with some of the players, what they got rid of and what they brought in. And a lot of that is also, we were talking about the AFC and what everyone else has done. Good teams, Bills add DJ Moore, the Chiefs add Kenneth Walker. And so each of these Broncos added Jalen Waddle. So all of these AFC teams that were also right there with you added big playmakers in the free agency, and you didn't. So that's what people are evaluating right now.
The Ravens added Tyler Linderbaum, the center, and then also Trey Hendrickson. They a lot of really good teams that you're going to be competing with if you're in the playoffs.
Yeah,
they
lost Tyler. Remember, he went to the Raiders. Linderbaum, but they spent a lot of money.
But didn't they add an offensive lineman, the Ravens?
They did. But Linderbaum went. He was the highest.
Right. Linderbaum left. But I feel like they added an offensive lineman.
I think they did too. I can't remember. They were very busy. That's what they get. Look, again, we were busy last year, so you maybe can't be busy every year. And look, there's a lot of, the cap is what it is, and they were left with. Part of taking over a company, you take over the financials. And sometimes those financials aren't that great. Yeah. And you got to clean them up and turn them around and get them going in the right direction. So this may be the year to do a lot of that. It could be worse. Did you see where the Jets they're going to pay $48 million this year for 2 quarterbacks that aren't on their roster?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, take that guy out back.
The Dolphins are in bad shape with that.
Whoever made that deal. My goodness.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Ravens did add a center to replace Linderbaum, Danny Pinter, but
but they were very busy too. And getting Hendrickson, I mean, that's a game changer. That's an absolute surefire game changer for them. Did you see where their odds are at 11.5 wins? Did you see that? I don't know where the Jags were. I didn't get a chance to look at them. That was a headline.
9.5, I think.
They were 9.5. Last year was 8.5. Interesting.
But
11.5 for the Ravens. They must believe the odds. Vegas believes with Hendrickson. That's a difference.
And healthy Lamar.
Yeah, and a change of coaches, right? Maybe that's all wrapped into it.
That's the interesting part. Yeah,
and the kicker making a kick.
Right.
Yeah.
The Bills and the Ravens, 2 teams that have new head coaches that are always atop the.
You take the Bills with Chubb. They grabbed Chubb from Miami. Like he would have been a great addition. He would have. He could slide Trayvon inside. He could
we
be
just
right
keep saying
there.
too expensive. Money. Yeah. All right.
Comp
so
picks.
More Jags. That's right. Comp picks are so important. More Jags on the other side. You're listening to Helmets and Heels on a Big Chiefs Tire Monday. You can find them online at WeKeepJacksRollin.com. It's 1010 XL 92.5 FM.
Streaming live from the XL Digital Studios. Polished by Harbor Dental Care, the locally owned smile restoration experts.
If you're thinking about getting a new roof sometime this year, Endless Summer Roofing can help. I'm Claudia, owner of Endless Summer Roofing. Stronger materials, expert installation, real peace of mind. A new roof isn't just an upgrade. It's the primary source of protection for your family home. Visit EndlessSummerRoofing.com for a free inspection today, and I'll make sure you're ready for tomorrow. Endless Summer Roofing. Protecting your home from Florida's endless summers.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
Here's a little secret to why I've been married for over 25 years. Kuhn Flowers. High Flying Jacko here. Yeah, that's correct. When I need to send some love to my bride, I don't wait for an anniversary or her birthday. I just simply go to KuhnFlowers.com.
The price of gold is soaring and the price of silver is near record highs. If you got gold or silver just laying around, Estates Roadshow wants it. Broken chains, old rings, coins, watches, diamonds, vintage jewelry. If it's valuable, they're buying it. No appointment needed, just walk in. Get a free appraisal and walk out with cash. They're also buying pre-1964 silver coins, flatware, sterling silverware stamped 925. They're buying coin collections, gold, silver, foreign, and domestic. Plus, they've been in business over 35 years with thousands of happy customers. Licensed, bonded, state-certified scales, highest tech equipment, employees with GIA certification. The Estates Roadshow is happening in St. Augustine at World Golf Renaissance, Sunday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more info, call Marshall at 609-781-6559 or go to estatesroadshow.com and follow Estates Roadshow on Facebook to see all upcoming events.
Hello, sports fans. Hicken here. Let's talk skin. I am Beach's Dermatology are reminding you to wear your sunscreen. If you're an active parent hanging at the fields, in your boat to fish, or like to chill at the sandbar, wear sunscreen. But if you're the one that decided for years it's not cool, guess what? Cancer isn't cool either. So when grabbing the clubs for your tea time, gassing up the boat, or grabbing the chairs for your kids' games, make sure you bring the screen. Any concerns now? Give Beach's Dermatology a call online at beachesdermatology.com.
With 50 years of fabrication expertise in towing products, the family at Cannons of Jacksonville can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Attention men and women. If you would like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Mike from Bay Meadows.
I finally found the most experienced company who could restore my hair. Now I have hair where I had none before.
Results guaranteed. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Find out why you're losing your hair and how to grow your hair back. Call 904-777-IHRS for a limited time free hair and scalp examination.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
Thank you, IHRS.
Thanks, IHRS, for giving me my hair back.
Hurry and receive a free hair and scalp examination and get 2 weeks of laser treatments for free. Call IHRS at 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Hairforme.com.
1010XL, presented by Farrah and Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still, present, ready. Farrah doesn't flinch.
Taylor Dahl, Todd McManus, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. RJ, playing a little Chicago. Is there any reason for this?
No, I was just trying to do something a little bit different.
All right.
Just trying to keep you guys on your toes sometimes.
I love it.
Good job, yeah. Great band.
Absolutely. It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. They do a fantastic job, but they've been taking care of my vehicles for years, and they have thousands of 5-star reviews for a reason. We keep Jacks rolling. .com. All right, we talked about Florida losing in the men's basketball tournament, so I think we've talked about that enough. Let's keep talking football. Keep talking football. That's what y'all want to hear. Anyways, everyone knows that Florida lost and how they lost. But when it comes to the Jaguars not being the only team that was not at Vanderbilt's pro day, right? Vanderbilt put out the graphic, and it's like 31 teams, and then immediately we all go to look for the Jags logo. It wasn't there.
Yeah. Right.
Does that bother you, affect you in any way, shape, or form?
No. I mean, they don't go to the combine. They don't go to certain pro days. You know, they'll work out the guys they want to work out. You know, they try. It sounds like it's the Secret Service or something. You know, you gotta. It's all secretive.
Injuries
Nobody can
are
know
off
anything.
limits
Yeah.
and pro days / combine.
They're like the FBI or something. I don't know, but yeah, whatever. I mean, you don't want to go, don't go. I don't know who's there. They're not going to go for the QB, obviously, right? But I don't know the other prospects that
they have a good tight end.
Oh, they got a good. No, that's Missouri. That's got that rush end. What's his name? Zion or something like that.
Zion Young.
Yeah. He looks like a pretty decent.
Yeah, they have
prospect.
He'll probably go in the first round.
But whatever. Listen, I mean, look, 13 wins, and now we see what they do. To follow that up. And if they're back in that, I don't expect them to win 13. I mean, that's really hard, but I would expect them to be contenders.
Especially with only 6 true home games.
Yeah. But listen, they're not. It is what it is. You play in front of 10, you play in front of 100,000. I don't care. Your job is to play, and you can whine about the construction, and I'm going to say too bad. You get paid way too much money to worry about how many people are in the stands. You have a job to do, and your job is to win. So, home field advantage matters. I'm not saying it doesn't. But it'll be packed, it'll be packed to the rim, as much as they can. And they'll be loud. And hopefully it's all Jag fans. And then we're good.
It's more just how many road games you have to play in a 17-game schedule.
Too bad. That's life. This is a sacrifice you're making too. But that, look, that just, that's something extra. You got to give them, a little bit for it. But at the end of the day, their job is to win football games. So will they follow it up? They just have to be a contender for me. Like I thought going into this year, right? That's all we were saying. Like just in December, like we contend for the playoffs, contend for the title of the division. You don't necessarily have to get there, but just show us that you made a real big improvement. Well, they made way better than that, obviously. Yeah. So again, I'll go back to that. Just be a contender again. Let us see it. And it might not happen right away. That's one thing we've learned, in this game. They can look some way, a certain way during camp, in preseason, and then it's a different way during the season, and then they go on a run. You never know how it's all going to play out.
It's so crazy because normally we'd say, well, September, those games aren't as meaningful as those games, late down the stretch, like in December. The Jaguars, though, from maybe like mid-October on, had to win pretty much every single game in order to win the division.
Yeah, because Texans were also winning everything. Yeah. And I feel like that's going to continue, I think, to be a part of the conversation when you talk about win totals and what you're expecting. And if you see people picking the division, they're picking the Texans right now because the Texans also went on a streak at the end and then won a playoff game. And so that's going to be the conversation going into this year. You can't say, you start strong and then whatever the case may be, you've got to win. And I feel like we've seen it in other years and we don't want to have that one year. And Liam Cohen spoke about it too. You don't want things to go back last year to how they were in previous years and then have excuses of, we are a young team or we have to build to the draft. So it's going to take a couple years. Because you do feel like those windows close quickly, and we've seen it happen to other teams fast. So I do think that's why I think some people just wish that who cares about the comp picks if you can feel like you're bringing in a player that you've seen be successful in the NFL. Because what we've seen in the draft is it's not a science. You can pick somebody in the top 10 and it doesn't work, and you can pick somebody in the 5th round and it's the best player one of the best players of the draft. And so you do have to hit on those two. And there's still a lot of TBDs from the draft this last year that you want to see some of those guys play, whether it's bigger roles or play at all. And that's going to be some of the conversation going into this season, too.
And if you're looking for optimism, that's absolutely a huge chunk of it is you're going to have Travis Hunter, hopefully, for the full season. And now he's got a year under his belt in both the wide receiver room and the corner room. And then you'll have Caleb Branshaw, hopefully.
Wyatt Milan.
Wyatt Milan, for sure, yeah. And so there are guys that you didn't get a ton out of this past season. You talked about Mason Smith earlier from a couple years ago now. Like, he has not done a ton. He was a healthy scratch down the stretch.
Not done enough at all.
Right. And so if you're looking for reasons to be optimistic, it's like, okay, yes, the Jaguars didn't do a ton of free agency, but look at all these guys that maybe could be huge contributors.
Right.
If you're looking for pessimism, then you just say, well, we lost Etienne and Lloyd. We got to retain Buster Brown.
Right.
We added Chris Rodriguez, and now we're just going to add some rookies.
And why didn't you add somebody else that had proven themselves in the NFL? That's what a lot of people will go to. You have a lot of question marks and TBDs and this could be's, but there were also several players. We went through all of the free agents for 2 months or a month and a half of guys that we'd like to have here in Jacksonville that you think would immediately impact, and they will because you've seen it at this level and at a consistent level. You just didn't have any of those type of replacements. Does that mean that all of a sudden in September things, the Jaguars aren't playing well? No, because you can hit on draft picks and you can develop some of these guys that were here last year that you just didn't get to see as much, or the guys that you do have continue to grow. You brought in several offensive linemen last year and you saw glimpses of good, and there were some issues we talk about when the back issues for Makari and some of those situations. If he's healthy, how much does that look even better? You talk about getting Travis Hunter back. You talk about Eric Armstead and Trayvon Walker both playing injured last year. Does that factor in? If they're 100%, there are a lot of what ifs but then there are a lot of but what if it doesn't turn good?
Yeah. Or the other way. Like you could say, man, we got a lot of ifs, but what if they're good? You know what I mean? What if those ifs turns out? Like, look, Caleb Branshaw, you'd hope he comes back fully healthy and doesn't lose a step, and he's fantastic. But we don't know that. The kid's never played safety in the NFL before. And we hope that he does, and we'll see that. Wyatt Milan, we saw glimpses here and there. Can he stay healthy? Can he compete for a job? You mentioned McCary. Like, is his back going to hold up? What's Chris Rodriguez going to bring to the? But every team has those. But some teams teams can mitigate those by bringing in guys that already proven it, like a Trey type Hendrickson or guys like that.
Some teams have had more sustained success, and Jaguars fans are used to falling off the cliff after a successful season, like we've talked about.
After 1999, please.
Right, yes.
After
In this 2000s. In the century.
Right.
But that
old timer.
Yeah, but that honestly is part of the problem is now that the season is over, it was so fun, obviously. It was an incredible ride. But once it ended obviously so abruptly. You didn't win the playoff game at home. And, I think most fans thought the Jags would beat the Bills at that point in time because of how they'd been playing. It ends so abruptly. And then I think the natural inclination for Jaguars fans is to go back to being negative because that's what that's how it's been used to. Yeah. Right. Other than the blips on the radar, like 2017, like 2022, usually the years aren't good.
Here's the greatest if we have. If Trevor continues to get better, he can carry this team.
Absolutely.
And that's what he's paid. That's a franchise QB. And he's there. He's our franchise QB. But if he can continue to ascend for full years, then he can carry this team.
What if, and this is just a what if, what we saw in those final 5 weeks of Trevor, which was great. It's the best football we've seen. That is Trevor.
Right.
There's no ascension. That is Trevor Lawrence. I think that you're still
every single year.
He carries that offense, and they'll score 24 to 31 points a game.
If he can stay healthy, then absolutely, that's the type of success you'll have. Like, look at the best quarterbacks in the league. If they're healthy, they're in the postseason.
Yeah.
So
and the defense would be good enough.
Yeah.
It might not be dominating, although I'd like to see that. You know,
from a linebacker, of course you would.
Absolutely, and especially after the QB dominating in that kind of way.
Yeah.
Really affecting the opposing.
It lifts everybody else, right? Like when you look, last year's Florida Gators team, with having Walter Clayton Jr. and Elijah Martin and Will Richard, that whole team had so much confidence because they knew those guys would lead them to the promised land.
Yeah, they're gonna
when your quarterback plays well, everybody else plays better too because they have that trust and confidence in him. All right, more to do on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday. It's 1010 XL 92.5 FM.
Short track, short stacks.
Lordy, what a man.
This Sunday at Martinsville.
Gonna win at Martinsville.
Powered by the Plumbers and Pipefitters Local Union 234. From the station with the most horsepower, 1010 XL.
Hey, I've got that craving again. How about some Mr. Chubby's wings?
Have you had the Chubby style wings? Grilled to perfection with Chubby's secret seasoning.
You know I have. They are so delicious. I swear you can't find anywhere in town with better wings and better prices on drinks.
So many different specials each night, too. Well, I'm ready to chub it up again.
Me too.
See all their specials at MrChubby'sWings.com. Locations on Fleming Island, the West Side, and Ponte Vedra Beach. Mr. Chubby's Wings. Before the game, after the game, and during the game.
Yes, spring cleaning is good, but there's something even better. Spring cleaning and spring organizing. Lauren Brooks here. I love our organized closets from Closets by Design. They create custom storage systems designed around how you actually live. That's right. A designer will come to your house. You can talk to them, and they can help you design your closets, garages, entertainment centers, laundry rooms, storage for any space and budget. Make an appointment today to tour their showroom on Phillips Highway and get 40% off plus an extra 15% off, free installation, and 18-month special financing. Schedule your free consultation at 904-878-9393 or online, closetsbydesign.com.
Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
It's time to upgrade your ride at Randy Marion Cadillac on Southside Boulevard in Jacksonville.
Trade your Tesla for the ultimate luxury. Experience a brand new Cadillac EV.
At Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville, we have over 33 stunning EVs to choose from.
Feel the power and enjoy a range that takes you farther than ever before.
You love your Tesla, but it's time to elevate your ride. Pick the color and drive away today.
Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville, where luxury meets performance. Visit us today.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent you.
Pickett here. Restore comfort and confidence with oculoplastic specialist Mary Kate Wilson, MD, at the Eye Associates, Jacksonville's expert in oculofacial plastic and reconstructive care. Dr. Wilson specializes in eyelid surgery, cosmetic and reconstructive procedures, and treatments, always with a personalized approach. Now seeing patients at the Beaches, Southside, and St. John's locations. To schedule your consultation with Dr. Wilson, call the Eye Associates, formerly Bowden Eye Associates, Schneider Eye and Wellness Center, and Janet A. Betchkel, MD, at 296-0098.
Frank Frangie here for Coil Fencing. Since 1927, Jacksonville has trusted Coil Fencing to protect what matters. and I trust them too. From tough chain link to your commercial project to sleek aluminum fencing your HOA will love, Coil does it all. Did you know that Coil can also install, service, and maintain those automatic gates that help protect your neighborhood or business? To schedule a complimentary consultation, visit CoilJacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com. Coil Fencing, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Do not buy a diamond in Jacksonville until you check out Beard's Diamonds. Hickett here. You're going to see a much bigger selection, higher quality than those chain store diamonds, and you'll get a better price. Beard's is different. It's Jacksonville through and through. Locally owned by the Lupos for more than 40 years. Amazing reputation, value, honesty, transparency. And they take care of our local customers. A free lifetime warranty, free maintenance, free sizing, free cleaning, free insurance appraisals. They don't nickel and dime you. Everything included at no charge. And Beers loves our local heroes in uniform, our military, police, firefighters, nurses, 25% off every day, every purchase. And here's something cool. Nobody at Beards is paid on commission, so there's no pressure to sell you or upsell you. Take my advice. Visit Beards. Get to know the local owners. Let them teach you the inside tricks on how to buy a diamond the smart way. So shop local, shop Beards, and get so much more for your money. Beards Diamonds at the St. John's Town Center.
March is full of upsets, but your oil change shouldn't be one of them. Don't gamble with your time in a waiting room. Go with a proven winner, Valvoline Instant Oil Change. No appointment, stay in your car, and a full-service oil change in 15 minutes. That's why Valvoline has a 4.7-star national rating and was named #1 quick lube in America by Forbes for customer service. Make the smart pick this March. Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Quick, easy, and built to win.
We love talking sports on 1010XL, and I9 Sports loves giving kids the perfect way to grow up playing the game. Spring and summer registration going on right now. Log on to i9sports.com to see all they've got to offer for kids ages 3 and up. Enter 1010 in the promo code for a discount. Year-round sports all across the First Coast. St. John's, Duval, and Clay. Sign up now for spring and summer. Great new locations added like Tofoy Creek High School and Westside Middle. Get your kids in the game with i9 Sports. Enter 1010 in the promo code for a discount at i9sports.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch.
Tom McManus is back from vacation. Taylor Dahl is here. RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Rascal Flats from RJ this time around.
Good shot.
This is a cover.
I said shot.
Yeah.
You looked at me funny, Olivia. I was like, good shot.
It said
I was on vacation. I'm sorry.
I was telling Tommy and that I was like, well, Chandler Parsons dropped a couple S-bombs last week, but we pre-recorded so RJ could take them out. But I was like, it was just funny because then he said it once, then later goes, I don't know if I can cuss on this thing, but it's bull. And we were like, oh, okay.
Which that was hilarious. I was like, so you don't even realize that you cussed earlier.
The first time.
Yeah, but earlier, or the moment he said it, and it was awesome to have him join us.
Yeah,
RJ did a phenomenal job. I love Chandler Parsons. But I was like, oh, he must think this is a podcast because we are pre-recording.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
It's not, it's live. Or it wasn't live, thankfully. But we're more than a podcast. We have
That's right.
On-air 2-hour-day show. All right, I saw this stat and I had to run it by y'all. College football roster valuations are hitting $50 million in the year 2026. That is more than the Miami Marlins or the Florida Marlins. Miami Marlins payroll. Their payroll is like $38 million.
Oh,
really?
my God.
The active payroll.
Well, yeah.
Yes,
they don't
the
spend
active
very
payroll.
well.
Cheap.
That's the lowest in all of Major League Baseball. But I just found that insane. $50 million. It wasn't that long ago that Ryan Day at Ohio State said it's going to take between 20 and 25 million for me to get this roster where it needs to be.
So that is including, they get now the pay to play money and then NIL included.
Correct.
They're estimating that it's going to cost you $50 million to have a roster in college football.
It's
That's
pro football.
insane.
It is
call it
basically
college,
pro
whatever.
football, and that's why, some people say, and now they are admitted not going to class, that it's not college anymore.
Yeah.
But either way, it is a feeder for the NFL.
I mean, just think about it. Like, even for 1 year, like, depending on where you get drafted, like, if you're a top prospect, maybe you don't. But if you're, like, going to be a fourth rounder, like, stay another year in college if you can and make more money than you would your rookie year. You know, maybe you get better, you get into the third round the next year. Maybe, you get your 18th year of eligibility granted by the federal government. Whatever, I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, that guy Owen Heineke, who was the linebacker from Oklahoma, we were talking about in the break, like went to the combine, worked out, wants to go back. He's probably thinking like, man, I probably make more money, at least for a year.
And as long as they don't sign with an agent, they're
able
free to do that. Yeah, but you pretty much normally need an agent in order to know where you're going to be drafted.
Yeah, and maybe nobody wanted to be his agent. I don't know. But I do think, do you think it gets to the point, though, when it talks about this is the beginning of this, so we're starting, who knows what this money to have a roster in and to be competitive in college football ends up being in a decade if it continues on the path that it's in right now, because we're only a few years into NIL at this point, and we're already talking about that amount of money. Do you think it gets to the point where boosters or whoever the NIL providers are at that point in time that are shelling out this money for the players start to get frustrated if teams aren't winning? Like, hey, this roster is worth $65 million and you won 8 games and you didn't win a college football playoff game. Does that start to become a problem eventually if you're not winning?
I think it depends on how much money the people have. Right? Yeah. Like if you're a billionaire and you want to spend a few millions, if you're a billionaire, that you probably don't, and you don't care about the return on investment.
But it's an investment. Yeah, you're not getting a return, and that's what they're businessmen. So when do they're like, no, I'm not getting any? Yeah, that's right.
But they always think that if I just put a little bit more money in, then my team's going to win. And so we saw with Miami. Miami is a team that different than Indiana, obviously. Indiana was full of transfer portal players, but they weren't necessarily a super high paid roster. Yeah. Whereas Miami, that's how Miami got it to the national championship.
It's going to separate from the haves from the have-nots eventually. I mean, how do you keep up if you're on that,
but
lower
I used to
cusp?
think that those buyouts for college football coaches were so crazy that eventually one day we would see those buyouts come down, that enough schools would just say, and not collusion, but enough schools would basically, handshake agreement and be like, I'm not going to do it. You don't do it. And then we will get those buyouts.
If we all say no, then
correct. But it has not happened because, of course, that is collusion.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sorry to cut you off there. Like, I don't see Boston College paying $50 million for a team.
Right. Well, there's some schools that just can't. Like, it's impossible.
They can. I mean, they're loaded.
BC can.
They were like, why? We don't need football to get the enrollment to where we're charging people $85,000 a year to go to college. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm saying, like, I think forget cutting the fat. It's not going to be like melted off like butter.
It's going to come off quickly.
It's just, I mean, that's a lot to keep
if we can see some schools being able to win in the playoff, not necessarily win the national championship, but win playoff games without those types of roster spends, then you'll start to see it come back down. But for the here and now, money is just fake, is what it feels like.
It feels like just paid like the stock market almost.
Yeah, I mean.
It's fake until I have to go to Publix and buy groceries.
JSN just got $120 million guaranteed. I was thinking about this when it comes to college football. Florida losing in the tournament last night, right, to Iowa. Todd Golden just made John Summerall's job even more pressurizing.
Yeah.
Like the last year, Florida, yes, they didn't love Billy Napier, but they had the national championship in basketball, and so football was, still
like, it's okay, basketball's coming.
Right. It was still a growing pain, clearly, but. At this point in time, like John Summerall, that leash, I feel like just got a little bit shorter. Yeah. Florida fans are so impatient and so not toxic, but they are very impatient.
Well, this year's basketball team got them to stop thinking about last year's football team, right? I mean, it's just kind of, you kind of pivoted to the basketball team, like, oh man, we could jump on this. We've seen this before.
Now it's football season.
Now it's time for Summerall to step up.
And talking about you were just saying, Lauren, what if you can't you just handshake and say, hey, I won't do this if you don't do this, and then we can change how the college football landscape comes. But that I think connects a little bit to the conversation we've had so much of the selfishness of what college football has become, whether it's conferences or programs specifically. They're not going to do that because they're like, no, we have the money. I could pay the coach I want. I'm not going to help these programs that can't pay that. And that's the problem that we've gotten to now of whether, like I said, it may be the conference saying, no, don't do that because we're the SEC and we can do, all of these things. That we're the Big Ten. We can do all of these things. And so they're never going to fully agree because they feel like they can do whatever they want. They can get the conference schedule. They have money to spend. They have all of these things. But there's programs on each of those sides that don't. And so they're kind of sitting down there, but we can't. When does this change for us? And it's not. That's going to be the thing because each of these conferences, each of the programs, at the end of the day, their ultimate concentration is themselves.
Yeah, well, and think you got to think if you're the Big Ten commish, right? Mm-hmm. Would you mind cutting off Rutgers? Would you mind? I'm serious. They're not, they're not any, thing to write. And that's my dad's alma mater.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dad.
That's where Kyle Monangai came from there. Okay.
But I'm just saying, like, there are teams you're probably like, Northwestern, Like, why do we need them in our conference anymore? They don't.
The conference has most recently expanded, not decreased, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
they believe
They're bringing
bigger
more.
conferences. The
Well,
more
USC
teams,
and those
the more
guys
money.
maybe kick the other guys out. Give them the hip toss.
Oh, we shall see.
Yeah.
All right. More to do on the other side, including Lauren's Lane. Keep it right here. Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday, 10 to 6 on 92.5 FM.
From the locker room to the practice field.
That's it.
To your drive home.
Feels like a dream.
Frank Frangie and Hayes Carline bring you the Jag stories you can't hear anywhere else.
Smart insight, real access.
The Frangie Show, afternoons on 1010XL.
Tired of changing out bad sod year after year? Get it done right with Roundtree Sod. Big or small, they have it, and always supplied farm fresh. For a lush, legendary green lawn, call 7414-SOD for a free estimate. 7414-SOD.
It's a Helmets and Heels Big Chief Tire Monday.
When you're injured, you need more than legal advice. You need someone who truly cares. I'm Chris Campione, and at Campione Law, I take pride in what we do. You're never just another case. We take the time to listen, guide you through the process, and fight for your recovery every step of the way. And remember, you pay nothing unless we win. Zip, nada, nothing. Learn more at CampioneLaw.com. Offices, Jacksonville and St. Augustine.
Count on Campione Law. If you can't wait for kickoff, tip-off, or the first pitch, get your Gator fix anytime with a Gator podcast channel. Exclusive Florida Gator content from 1010XL. Set up by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists on the video and social channels of 1010XL.
David Garrard here. Playing in the NFL can put a lot of wear and tear on your body, especially your knees. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists has kept me mobile and ready to tackle every day.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
This is former NFL quarterback David Garrard. If your knees have taken a beating and you're finally ready to do something about it, then let Southeast Orthopedic take a look. Come on, do your knees a favor.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
The new Ackerman Cancer Center is now open in World Golf Village with state-of-the-art technology that detects cancer fast and accurately. Same-day appointments are available where faster answers meet compassionate care. AckermanCancerCenter.com.
If you've been in an auto accident, you can count on the experts at San Jose Collision to return your vehicle to pre-accident conditions. San Jose Collision can also provide a fresh paint job to freshen up your vehicle or completely change its appearance. They can paint and repair all foreign and domestic cars and trucks. When quality and professionalism are important to you, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Next time you head into a Gate convenience store, look for Form Energy Drink, designed to provide energy, hydration, and focus, straight from Dana White and AB, celebrating those who embrace grit, discipline, and resilience in their everyday lives. Check out Form Energy at a Gate convenience store.
Attention skilled electricians. Are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just the job, but an experienced, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
You think you can crush some food? Time to flex. It's your main man, E to the T. And Team 1010XL is hosting the food eating contest at the Clay County Fair, April 2nd through the 12th. Enjoy the rides, enjoy the music, amazing food, and fun. Find out more at claycountyfair.org.
Stop letting high-interest debt weigh you down. Pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. It's a completely hassle-free way to cash out your home equity with no appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan uses AI-driven technology to get you approved for cash in as little as 1 day with a rate that's at a 3-year loan. One client got $100,000 approved in under 24 hours, wiped out all their credit cards, started a home improvement project, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,500. Call Loan Pronto now and see how much cash you can get. No hard credit pull up front. Imagine, this time next week, you could be credit card debt-free. Loan Pronto, A-rated by the BBB. with nearly 2,800 five-star Google reviews. Call 904-999-1508 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 999-1508 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781 on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update brought to you by Chad and Sandy Real Estate. The PGA Tour wrapped up its Florida swing this weekend with the Valspar Championship from Innisbrook Golf Club. As players runners-up, Matt Fitzpatrick found himself back in the winner's circle with a score of 11 under. The Tour heads to Texas for the next two events before the Masters tournament, which is only 3 weeks away. It's 85 degrees at 3:03. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah.
Taylor Dahl, Tom McManus, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this beautiful Monday afternoon. I will tell y'all, I told this to Taylor earlier, Tom, I was in a really sour mood last night and this morning for obvious reasons because my team lost. And I really thought we had a chance at least to make it to the Final Four. But then on my way to work, I saw a car accident. Everyone was okay, but it reminded me that I need to not take sports so seriously when life can actually occur. So then I calmed myself down. I said, the sun is shining. It's a beautiful spring day. I can survive.
I think that's a beautiful thing of sports. You're so emotional, the agony of the, what was that?
Agony of defeat.
Yeah, but what would they say before that? The
thrill of victory, the agony
of defeat, right?
Yeah, I mean, you saw Thomas Houck when that game ended last night, and he realized that Florida was going to lose, and he may never again play for Florida. Probably won't. Will enter the NBA draft, but he just, fell down on the floor, and that stuff definitely hurts your heart because this guy has been such a great Gator, and he played so hard all season long. And then
he's got grit, that kid.
Yeah. Oh, he absolutely does.
He helped bring it back
the team.
12.
I was going to say, he put the team on his back for sure.
Big time.
All right, time now for Lauren's Lane.
Now, Lauren's Lane. Opened up by Closets by Design. Imagine your home totally organized.
Taylor referenced it earlier. Florida did get swept by Alabama this past weekend in college baseball. Florida and Florida State play tomorrow night here in Jacksonville. Florida State now ranked 10th in the country. Florida now not in the top 25. And it was a really bad weekend for Florida baseball considering Friday night, Florida was no hit. For the first time, by the way, since 1963.
No kidding.
Bama had a no-hitter first time for Florida since 63. And then yesterday, Florida was actually up 4-2. I thought, okay, well, they aren't going to get swept at least. And then Florida proceeds to hit a Bama player by a pitch. And then that player was really upset. His name's Justin LeBron. He was really upset. And then the following guy hit a grand slam. Brady Neal.
Dagger.
And Florida walked 9 guys to Kevin O'Sullivan, exactly. Kevin O'Sullivan was so upset, rightfully so. But Sully does have a really good record against both his in-state rivals in Florida State and Miami. So we will see about tomorrow night. FSU, meanwhile, like I said, up to now 10th in the country. FSU is 19-4 on the season after taking 2 of 3 at home against NC State. NC State was ranked 10th. So Florida State has had back-to-back weekends winning over teams that were at the time ranked 10. In the top 15.
Wow,
Wake
15,
Forest, I think, was 12. Yeah, but you can hear that game if you're not going tomorrow night. You can hear it right here on the Superstation. That Florida State baseball game. First pitch is at 6 p.m. Our pregame coverage begins at 5:55. It's on 1010 a.m. and the AM stream. Super excited, but I would have been a little more excited if Florida had played better this past week.
Yeah.
That's right.
So go ahead, Tommy.
You go ahead.
Oh, I just had a funny tweet, a text to read that someone, because you mentioned gymnastics earlier too, but someone goes, good news, gymnastics team won the SEC championship. Bad news, the gymnastics team had the same number of hits as the baseball team on Friday.
The gymnastics, I could go into an entire 10-minute spiel on that. I won't. I will save you. But basically, Florida was in so there's 2 different heats for the SEC gymnastics championship.
Okay.
The first heat has teams that are seeded 5 through 8, and then the second heat is 1 through 4. So Florida's, of course, in 1 through 4, along with the number 1 team in the country, Oklahoma, the number 2 team in the country, LSU, and then it was Florida and Alabama. Florida ended up winning the meet, and it came down to the bars routine, and Florida had all 9 nines or better on bars. The 2 of the final 3 gymnasts had 9.975s, and then Selena Harris Miranda had a 10 on bars, and that's how Florida beat the best teams in the country. So it was a very exciting. It was obviously nerve-wracking, but it was very exciting.
Believe it or not, I still remembered what my thought was. Yeah, normally I forget it. That's pretty impressive. I had to keep thinking. So if you're a baseball prospect, okay, and you've got Florida, Miami, Florida State, forget money and all that.
Sure.
Who's the top program do you go to? Do you think?
It's probably Florida, just because Kevin O'Sullivan has a national championship and the other 2 don't.
Okay.
But Florida State, people love Link Jarrett.
Yeah. And they seem to always be in the, the World Series or whatever. Florida State feels like
Mike Martin was the head coach.
Right.
They were in Omaha a lot. They just never won it with him. Then they hired his son.
I remember Mike
and
Martin.
Mike Martin Jr. wasn't nearly as good of a coach. So they dipped a little bit. But now Link Jarrett has them, like I said, 10th in the country. So, yeah, I mean, certainly Florida State is a phenomenal program. There are definitely years that you would have gone to Florida State over Florida.
What about Miami? They got a good baseball program, don't they?
They do, but not as good as Florida or Florida State.
It is wild to look at the college baseball rankings right now and not seeing LSU or Florida in them.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of crazy, to be honest.
Because LSU was like a couple years in a row, weren't they winning the title? And, they were.
Paul
they were fun.
Skeens,
Yeah, but even the year after,
and they won last year too.
Right, last year.
They won last year.
Yeah.
By the way, back to gymnastics just quickly. Florida heads to the NCAA regionals. That will be April 2nd, and Florida will compete against Georgia, against Cal, Michigan State, Penn State, BYU, Arizona State or Arizona, depending on which one gets in, and Southern Utah. So there you have it. That's your weekly gymnastics update. Back to college baseball. JU lost 2 out of 3 at Queens. They are home tomorrow night against Bethune-Cookman. First pitch at 7 o'clock. UNF swept Gulf Coast, so that was good news for the Ospreys. No midweek contest for them. And then this weekend, we have the River City Rumble Hardball Edition. JU plays host to UNF. The 3-game series begins Friday at 7 p.m.
Dusty Rhodes was great. I met him a few times.
Yeah, he was great.
He was awesome.
Former UNF baseball coach.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. But yeah, there's your college baseball. And again, tomorrow night at ViStar Ballpark. I'm assuming it's sold out. I haven't seen necessarily anything confirming that, but it's always sold out. So I would imagine that if it's not yet, it will be. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 2 good programs in baseball. JU's got a good program too. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, JU and UNF for sure. That is 100%.
Swing for the fence, kids. Go Dave Kingman.
That motivation.
Either hit a home run or strike out. It's okay.
Hit a home run or strike out. That's
Dave Kingman. Remember him from the Cubs?
One or the other.
That's all he would do.
And Major League Baseball begins this week.
Yes.
I know Taylor's excited. I looked at the Rays' schedule. The first 3 series are all away. So their first home game is not until April the 6th, and they play the Cubs.
All right.
Oh, yeah, I
But
know.
they'll
It's
be back
midweek,
at
and I was so
Tropicana.
upset because
I
I
know.
was hoping it was fall a little bit on the weekend because that's such a quick, easy trip. And then it's not. I think it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday or something.
Yeah, I think it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, because I looked at the same thing and I was like, oh, dang. But
Well,
they
we
are
can
back
just
at
move the show down there for a Monday and I'll go
There
to
you
the
go.
Cubs-Rays game.
Yeah, they are back at Tropicana Field this year.
Okay.
And so I've read that the construction is basically almost done, but normally they do some workouts at the Trop like at the end of spring training, but they haven't been able to do that. So they've had some outfielders just go out and kind of test it out, but they haven't had the entire team be able to go there. So it's just interesting.
We'll be pushing it a little bit, I guess.
They said it's brighter though, so that's
also
good news.
Yeah, not as dungeony.
Yeah, I've been to a football game at the Trop. I was working a college bowl game years ago, and it was so dark. I was like, this.
You haven't seen a baseball game? You haven't watched a game?
I have not.
Really?
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
I know.
Yeah, I've been to the
Every
Trop
year I
many
say I need
times,
to go.
but it's people like it gets a really bad rep. It's not awesome. I've been to several baseball fields, and there's definitely a lot better of what the Trop was. Obviously, we've talked about Babby and all of them and everything. Like I have a lot of confidence that a lot of things can get better when it comes to that. But it is dark. It's awkward because you do feel like everything's kind of low. Like they have the lower metal up top, so like that was some of the issue. The balls wouldn't hit the metal up top. It just felt awkward. Like it didn't feel like it should be a baseball stadium, and that's what I think a lot of people didn't like about it. It's also not in Tampa, but
also true.
I've never been there. I've been to Wrigley and Fenway. I think those are the only two baseball stadiums I've ever been to.
Good ones to go to.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Tom's take is on the other side. Keep it right here. Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday, 1010XL 92.5 FM.
All those people who live in other places wish they lived here. Why didn't we do this sooner? 1010XL, proud to live in Duval.
Make Capital Glass and Shower Doors your premier choice for top quality glass solutions. With over 40 years of expertise, their team specializes in commercial and residential projects. From elegant shower doors to modern frameless enclosures, they've got you covered. But that's not all. They also offer glass railing systems, glass wine cabinets, and much more. For unmatched quality and service, choose Capital Glass and Shower Doors. Your vision, their expertise. Visit online at capcoglass.com.
Helmets and heels. It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
When you're a little kid on the playground, they tell you don't hit back. Well, the courtroom isn't a playground. And if you've suffered an injury or death in your family, I'm here to tell you it's okay to hit back and fight to make them pay. I'm attorney Brett Hastings, and at Hastings Injury Law, we understand all the pain and emotion that comes with being wrong. And we've dedicated our lives to making things right for people like you. So if you get hit back with Hastings Injury Law. Offices, Jacksonville.
If you love the Jags, if you crave the NFL, we make a show for you. It's Jaguars Today with experts and insiders. Locked down by Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors. 10 to noon weekdays on 1010XL.
The next 30 seconds could save you hundreds on your car insurance. At The Hartford, we're passionate about your protection. If you're 50 or over, AARP Auto Insurance from The Hartford gives you benefits that really matter. And you could save $597 when you switch. How's that for a little peace of mind? Visit trusthartford.com today. The Hartford, your protection is our passion. The Hartford Insurance Group, Inc. pays royalty fees to AARP for the use of its intellectual property. AARP and its affiliates are not insurers. Savings vary.
Best Bet poker fans, the stakes are high this month as Best Bet dishes out over $700,000 between Jacksonville, Orange Park, and St. Augustine's poker rooms. Feeling lucky? How about daily high hands, weekend winnings every Friday and Saturday, and go for the green on St. Patrick's Day, where a royal flush in clubs wins up to $5,000. See all the details at bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Here's hoping for a Raise the Roof football season. And here's knowing Next Gen Roofing is up for any job. Game day or storm season, you need a team you can trust. And you know what? You don't need a glitzy roofing company. No shortcuts, no gimmicks, no nonsense. Solid roofs at competitive prices and a commitment to the First Coast community. Right now, save up to $300 on your next roof replacement. When you need a roof, you need Next Gen Roofing. Team with you, it's a win every time.
Here's a health and wellness tip from orthopedic specialists of Jacksonville.
Every joint in the body was designed for movement. Inactivity can cause stiffness, weakness, weight gain, and decrease in overall balance. So you should strive for at least 30 minutes a day of exercises that promote flexibility like yoga, strengthening with weights, and cardiovascular fitness like walking, swimming, or biking. The more you move, the better you will feel and your overall health will benefit. Let's get healthy, Jacks. Go Jags.
Stay healthy with orthopedic specialists of Jacksonville.
I'm Frank Frangie. Life-changing is an understatement for the 180 I've seen with my daughter Amber. She's now lost over 100 pounds with Awaken 180 in just 9 months. A true 180. Not just on the scale either, in her energy, her confidence, the way she lives. And what I love about Awaken 180 is we knew it would work. It wasn't a hope. It wasn't a guess that maybe it'll work. Amber started the programming knowing this was going to be her solution. Now, you've heard stories from our hosts and clients and probably people you know personally who've reclaimed their life thanks to Awaken 180. It works for the person who needs to lose 25 pounds. It worked for Matt Hayes, who wanted to lose 40. It worked for Hacker, who's lost more than 120 pounds. And it's worked for Amber, who's well over 100. That's why I believe in it. Whatever your scale number is, call the number that will work for you. 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com. Once again, that number is 844-346-1800 or you can reach them online at awaken180weightloss.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch.
Welcome back to Helmets and Heels on this Big Chief Tire Monday. If you need tires or brake services, wheel alignments, oil changes, whatever you need for your vehicle, you can find one of their 6 locations conveniently around town. WeKeepJacksRollin.com. Tom McManus, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. And time now for Tom's Take.
Now, Tommy's Takes, protected by Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com, or dial pound law. That's all.
All right, my takeaway today on this beautiful Monday, it's kind of twofold. One is it's great to be home. it's always good to travel, but man, we live in paradise here in Jacksonville, and I just love living here. So when we came home last night, even our friend Jennifer said, she's like, hey, you know what? We're coming home to a pretty darn good place, even though we just left paradise as well. And it's just awesome to be back. And then twofold, the second part is, I'm thinking about this JSN contract. I'm thinking about Brian Thomas Jr. I'm thinking about Mason Smith's, workout video and then how good he looks and whatnot. But man, you think about those two guys alone. If those two guys could show up in 2026 and play at a really high level consistently, this team is going to be a hell of a football team. They're going to have a chance. They've got to get something out of Mason Smith, and they've got to make sure that Brian Thomas gets back to that rookie style, that rookie season. And all it is work, and more work, and that accountability. It looks like they're putting it in, which is great to see, but we got to see that on the field, and I hope that does happen. I'm glad to see they're working out, but let's make sure that all that working out translates to kicking some major ass on the football field in 2026. Brought to you by my good friends at Morgan & Morgan for the people.
I will say, Tom, I was surprised that your travel back day was yesterday.
Yep.
Because you didn't leave yourself a cushion day.
Well, my friend did it up right. So when you fly private, I think, I don't know if you got to worry about any of that stuff. Let me just say this, because I've only flown private twice. Once was with Mr. Weaver's jet. We went up to Hilton Head after we did well in the 96 season, kind of like a ticket outreach. We went to the Chamber of Commerce, had lunch. There was like 4 or 5 of us. It was wild being in that thing. That was like a rocket ship. And then this plane, and I don't know my plane, so don't ask me what kind of plane it is, but it's fast. And I was sitting backwards in the front, and I've never done that before. And when it started hauling tail down the runway, I was like, oh my gosh, I put on my shades and shut my eyes and started praying to the Lord. I'm like, please, just make it smooth. And it was smooth the entire way. And to be able to see because they go way up over it, just looking down.
How long does it take?
3 hours door to door, like door to airport, airport to airport. But beautiful coming over the Bahamas, you just, and coming back, seeing Miami, it's not a bad way to travel, girls. I'll tell you that much. I don't know if I'll ever do it again, but it was pretty spectacular.
I liked your sentence. I've only flown private twice.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who's flown private other than you.
Well, my Avery flew like 8 or 10 times with a friend of hers. She used to go to Baker's Bay all the time. She would fly. I'm like, you little princess, you flying private. She's like,
I feel like that would ruin me. Like if I was
100%.
on a private plane and got to just go directly, didn't have to deal with TSA, you're just sitting with your friends, I would never want to fly another way after that.
Well, the caveat is you have to make a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
To pay for that.
Or know somebody who makes a whole lot of money that wants
you to come on a trip. So, yeah, it was good. That's a good way to fly. And I think did I mention when we pulled up to St. Thomas, the trip was over, we parked next to the Kismet. The Kismet was there.
No, you didn't say that. Okay.
And it looked beautiful. I didn't realize in the front is the old Jaguar logo. You seen that in the front of
like the original?
Yeah, it looks like the old Jaguar. It looks like the Jaguar car logo, but it just paying homage to the old school. I guess it was kind of neat to see that.
It was shot on the Kismet.
I have no idea. I saw a couple. I wouldn't. I didn't even try. But we did literally parked right next to it. So looking up, you're like, oh, it's pretty boat. Pretty boat.
It's a gorgeous.
It is. It is. Yeah. It's really pretty, no doubt.
Yeah, I feel like flying commercial. Every time you fly these days, I feel like it gets worse and worse.
Well,
sometimes
it's really
you can
bad.
You can travel without the delays, and if you're direct, especially in the morning, like it's not so bad.
Yep.
But I feel like everyone you talk to now, it's like, oh yeah, we were stuck here or stuck there.
Well, we were hearing stories even at St. Thomas's Airport, like 5-hour wait lines, 3-hour, and people missing their flights, and we're like, thank goodness we didn't have to go into the airport, But it's a mess out there in the airports right now. Shame.
Yeah.
All right, fix it.
Let's get back to Jaguars football. So on Friday, Taylor and I were talking about the Jaguars players for 2026 with the most to prove. Some of the names we mentioned, obviously the Bashal Tutin, Chris Rodriguez, that depending on how many carries he gets for C-Rod. Travis Hunter's one because of the move that the Jaguars made to go up and get him.
Yeah. I said both BTJ and Mason Smith. Those were 2 of mine.
Good ones. I'm going to say Trayvon Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I think he's got a lot to prove this year. Can he get back? If
Especially
Eric's
contract. You've got a contract to think about, too.
If Eric's back, he's got a lot to prove.
You think so? Why Eric Armstead?
If he's back, because he only had an okay year last year and he got hurt.
And then a bad year the year before.
And then a bad year the year
I guess
before.
I don't think of him as having a lot to prove because he's towards the end of his career.
Yeah, but we need the good Eric. Like, we need that dominant Eric Armstead to take that, to be here. If he's going to be here, be that player. If he's not going to be that player, we don't want him here, obviously. But yeah, I think Eric, at this time in his career, he may not think he has a lot to prove, but I do for this team, just for the mere fact, like, I know how dominant he can be.
Mm-hmm.
He really can be dominant. I mean, he's shown it. But we got, and granted, got to stay healthy, but got to see that consistently. So I think he's got a lot. I think he's got a lot to prove.
Would you put Josh Hines-Allen in that category?
No, because I think, look, the only numbers that aren't there are the sacks. And I know he's paid to get sacks, but his all-around game, I mean, if you had to pick the best player on defense, you'd go Devin Lloyd. I would, from last year's performance, just going last year. But I think Josh Hines-Allen would be number 2, as far as the best performer on defense as a whole.
I might put Devon Hamilton for his role up there too.
For stopping a run, yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, I mean, does he have? That's a great question. So in a sense, maybe because he's supposed to get 15 sacks, so he's got to prove.
But he's already gotten the contract, and that's why, like for Armstead too, he's made a lot of money. It's those guys that are approaching that first contract extension that I feel like they do have a lot to prove.
Well, okay,
and
so
that's what I think. It matters sometimes how you are evaluating that, what you want to be proven. Because when I talked about Mason Smith, I was like, he just has to prove he deserves to be in the NFL at this point in time. Because what we've seen so far, you haven't seen that, or at least a starting role, or even a main rotational piece role. So that's in one way, you feel like you have something to prove. And then there's the ones that have something to prove because they have a contract coming up, like a Trayvon Walker, or just a Travis Hunter missing, some of the season, and you have a lot of people talking about, can you do both and what's going on, and can you be that football player, like the unicorn, that everyone used that term. And then I do think you do have ones though where it's like you've gotten your contract, a Trevor Lawrence, a Josh Hines-Allen, where you've gotten it, but now you have to prove that you can consistently be that player you're getting paid a lot of money, so you're getting paid like a top player at that position. You got to prove that you deserve that. And so I do think there's different levels to proving.
Yeah, and are you proving it for others, or you got something to prove?
Or do we just want to see you prove it?
Right. You got to look at Trevor. He's got a lot to prove. He's got to prove that the last 5 weeks wasn't
a fluke,
or not a fluke, an anomaly or something we've seen spurts before, so I shouldn't really say that word. You should have corrected me. That was not the correct term. But nonetheless, he's got a lot to prove. Is he that guy? Is he me or him? What do they say? I'm him. Yeah. I am him. Is he him?
Is he me? Everything's about you today.
The franchise quarterback.
Welcome back.
The franchise quarterback is always going to be under pressure.
Yeah.
I don't know that Trevor has something to prove because of, he's already received the contract extension, but like Walker Little's received a contract extension, and we don't know if he's a starter on this offensive line.
Tua did too, and he's on a different team now.
Yeah.
I don't think a contract matters.
I mean, I would look at, does Josh Allen, the Bills quarterback, have something to prove? Yeah, he's got to prove that he can get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, that's big for him. I mean, he's got everything else. He's got the MVPs. He's got the money. He's got the notoriety. He's got the, the actress wife, if that matters, but whatever. He's got his woman. What does he not have? He doesn't have any, major appearances in the postseason, where he carried his team. We know he can carry his team, but he hasn't gotten them to the Super Bowl. I mean, we talk about, what did we just talk about in the last segment with if Trevor shows that he can, he can carry this team. Well, Josh Allen can carry his team. He carried him here in the wild card game.
The broken foot.
But he hasn't carried him to the Super Bowl, and every quarterback got to think about that.
Yeah, I mean, if we're breaking it down, every single player that goes out on the field has something to prove at that point in time.
Yeah, and I just think when you're evaluating the most to prove, and that's how we worded it last week, I think the most to prove can be looked at different ways depending where the player is at in their careers and what you feel like is important. I mean, would you throw a Cole Van Lanen in there? Cole Van Lanen battled injuries. We saw it to start the season, then it ended the season, then he got a contract. So how much does he have to prove that you're taking over this left tackle? You just got a contract. We love Cole Van Lannon. We love what he was able to do this last season, playing every single spot on the line. Some people may say, some people may say he needs to prove that he deserved that contract and then prove that he can stay healthy.
See, totally valid. I feel like with Cole, I'd be like, he's proven it. Like if he's healthy, he's got to prove that he can stay healthy. But if he's healthy, he's proven he can be a really good offensive lineman for a tackle, what have you. You know what I mean? Like I think of Max Crosby. What does he have to? We know he's going to play well. He probably wants to prove that, I'm sure. Yeah. But you know what I mean? From that perspective, like, no, I expect him to be like how he always is. Impact, disrupt the game, and he'll do that again.
I guess the best way to say is who has something to prove this season to remain a Jaguar moving forward is certainly another way to look at it. And guys like Trevor, Josh Hines-Allen, like they're going to be Jaguars next season.
You know, listen, at the end of the day, like you want every member of the team to have I got to prove something this
Absolutely.
year.
You want the chip on their shoulder.
Every single year, I got to prove that, if you're Foye Luke, I saw you had on and I saw little clips. That was great. But him, we know he's going to deliver, but he wants himself to prove that, hey, I'm still one of the best middle backers out there. I'm still the leading tackler.
Right, even though they drafted Jack Kaiser, like, this is still my job.
Yeah,
but you don't want to be complacent, and you want to be like, well, he got paid, so he doesn't have to prove anything anymore. I think that you want those guys who gotten the big contracts to prove why they deserve those contracts, and that doesn't just end because they get paid. And so to me, sometimes the guys making a lot of the money, the guys making the most money, to me, have the most to prove, because you're the guys that, yes, we've maybe seen it in glimpses, at least enough to give you a contract. But have you seen enough from Trevor to feel like drafting him first overall and paying him that much money for, for some people, they may say, no, I haven't seen enough to prove that I think he deserves to have this contract and be the quarterback for the next 10 years. Some people may say, yes, that last 6 games for me was enough, and it did prove to me. So I do think it's just, to me, when you're paying people, sometimes that even more so means you have something to prove to me.
Well, he's got to prove that he can do it for the whole year.
Yeah, you need that consistency. It can't be like the first half or the second half or glimpses here. You want to see that, and there's going to be a bad 1 or 2 games sometimes. That happens.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes has them. Josh Allen, you're not saying I need 17 regular season games of your best possible football, because everybody has their bad days, but you want more of the good performances, your wow performances over the what was he doing performances, and that's what you want to see this next year, at least from Trevor.
Yeah, and I think with guys too, the guys that don't, they do fall back to that. Well, at least I got paid, and whatever. I don't care.
We've
what people
seen it
say.
here. Kelvin Smith got a huge contract extension, and then I don't think he was
so good.
Right, I don't think he was anywhere like near where he was after that.
Well, I don't know what happened. How long after the contract did he leave the team and leave football? Was it like a year after, 2 years? I can't remember how long he played under that.
I don't remember the exact.
He was a heck of a player.
I just know it wasn't. He was
like Puz retired, and you could tell that affected him a lot when Puz Lesney retired, and it kind of went downhill. I want to say maybe a couple years, because then he got into the off-season trouble, and it just kind of all spiraled.
Spiraled there.
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. All right, we've got more to do on the other side, including the golden moment. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday, 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Your home for Florida Gators baseball is 1010XL.
It's the Florida Sunshine Showdown at the baseball grounds of Jacksonville. Florida State on the diamond. Catch every pitch starting at 6 tomorrow on 1010 a.m.
Hey Jacksonville, Don here, the big cheese at Taco Lou. Well, everyone knows my wife Debbie is the real cheese at the Lou. We just do what we're told. We aren't a sports bar at all, but we have the best selection of the finest tequilas that Mexico has to offer, and that makes any basketball game more fun to watch. So come into Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach, where we love sports and we love tacos with our tequila. If you're looking for a crew to help with your fiestas at home or work, Taco Lou caters, bringing the tacos to you. Taco Lou in Jax Beach, where tacos and sports go hand in hand.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
Bueller, stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal.
Stand back, Jason. I'm gonna
Sneeze? Yeah, I saw that coming.
It's all this spring pollen, Jason. It's outside and it's inside my house, and I just can't stop. I can't stop.
Sneezing? Okay, let me help you with that.
How can you help?
At Bueller Air and Plumbing, We can improve your indoor air quality with air purifiers, UV lights, and filtration systems. Every new system we install includes high-efficiency 4-inch filters that work better and last longer, even if you forget to change them.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Life can get pretty dusty sometimes. If you spend all day, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
I'm Chris Campione. Auto accidents can leave you feeling lost and overwhelmed. But at Campione Law, we're here to guide you with a personal touch through every step of the process. We don't get paid unless you get paid. CampioneLaw.com.
Count on Campione. Campione Law.
Gold and silver prices are near all-time highs. If you have old jewelry just laying around, Estates Roadshow wants to buy it. Gold and silver, old rings, chains, even broken jewelry. Don't wait. Cash in while gold and silver are hot. The Estates Roadshow is in the First Coast area Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. in St. Augustine at World Golf Renaissance. Get cash in your hands for your unused jewelry. More info? Visit estatesroadshow.com or follow Estates Roadshow on Facebook to see all upcoming local events and locations.
If your ride is making strange noises, don't wait and make it work. Come to Action Transmission on Merrill Road. My expert technicians can diagnose the problem and likely fix it fast. Experience the difference at Action Transmission on Merrill Road.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Big Number 1 Duval Ford. It's truck time in Jacksonville, and all month long you can drive home a brand new 2025 F-150 with no money down, no payments for 90 days, and 0% interest for 60 months. That's right, a new F-150 with 0 down and 0% for 60 months. See all the deals now at DuvalFord.com or just stop by Big Number 1 Duval Ford, 1616 Cassett Avenue today. It's truck time at Big Number 1 Duval Ford.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Now, the Monahan's Golden Moment. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, your local family jewelers.
Golden moment talking about people that make a lot of money. We were talking about a little off air, but we mentioned a new contract earlier as Jackson Smith and Jigba got paid $42.2 million per year for him. So the highest paid current non-quarterback contracts right now by average per year. Michael Parsons makes the most, $46.5 million. Aiden Hutchinson with $45 million. Jackson Smith and Jigba now with that 42.2. Behind that is TJ Watt with 41, Jamar Chase with 40.2, Danielle Hunter with 40.1, Myles Garrett at 40, Max Crosby 35.5, Justin Jefferson at 35, CeeDee Lamb at 34, and Nick Bosa at $34 million.
Yeah. It's good to be a number one wide receiver on an NFL team.
Or an edge rusher. Edge.
Yeah. It's even good to be
Bosa,
Jake
Crosby,
Bobo.
Garrett, Hunter, Watt, and Hutchinson and Parsons. So that's a lot of edge rushers, and they're making a lot of money.
Yeah, you look at Hutchinson, man. He's a beast. I mean, he's a game changer. You know, I don't think Trayvon will ever get to that kind of impact as a defensive end, but he's still a great player. You know what I mean? But you look at, man, getting that, being the second highest paid non-quarterback based on what he's done, and he's done double digits. I mean, that's what he brings to the table. And the guy's a little bit like Crosby in a sense. You know, like Hutchinson could really disrupt the game. I honestly, I watched him in Michigan, and I saw the Ohio State game where he dominated, and I'm like, oh, yeah. I didn't think he was going to be that good a pass. And I really thought, remember he would always do the spin move. And I'm like, man, I'm just waiting for some lineman to wait for his chest to come around and just kabam. But he gets it done, man. And the comeback from that injury is insane because he wrecked that whole leg, you know. And that talk about PTSD. Thinking about that can happen to you again. And then he goes out and gets 14.5 last year and a pretty good defense. He's not the only guy. So, you know, again, like,
he'll always be the one that got away.
If you're Trayvon, if you're Brian Thomas, if you're Mason Smith, like that should be the carrot in front of you. Like, look, you may not get up to that level,
right?
But if they're getting that level and you're close, you're up there pretty high.
Yeah.
I mean, what an incentive. I mean,
if you can show that you're really consistent as a player, you know, a very consistent player in the NFL.
Yeah.
you will earn a heck of a lot of
If
money.
Brian Thomas goes back to his rookie year this year and then repeats it next year, he's going to get paid a ridiculous amount of
He'll
money.
get paid probably more, honestly, than JSN if he were to have
do that.
similar
If
numbers.
he has
because
those
it's
two,
later.
yeah. If the next two, I was about to ask about Parker. Like, where do you think Parker Washington sits in that when it comes to, let's say this next season he does surpass 1,000 yards. Let's say he has like 11, 1,200 yards, and so far he had 5 touchdowns this last season. Let's say that goes up to 9 or 10 touchdowns, because this is obviously his 4th season. So you're going to be talking to him next year. Where do you think he sits in that here? Like, so when you go through, obviously, those top guys, you're probably not going to be seeing him up there just because when you talk about his trajectory, it's you had 130, 390, 847, then let's say he has 1,200. So you're not going to get paid with the top. But that range of, let's say, where you have Michael Pittman, Wan'Dale Robinson just got, Jerry Jeudy, Calvin Ridley, Jacoby Myers. There's, let's say 17 million for those other guys. And then there's the group of Jacoby Myers, Chris Godwin, Devontae Adams, Cortland Sutton, Nico Collins, who all make 20 to 23. And then there's that next chunk, which is like Devontae Smith, Jamison Williams, George Pickens, DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle. I don't think he'd be quite there yet unless he had maybe like 16, 17. But it feels like in that range of the 17 to 23. Is that what you would think?
If I'm him, and I'm just thinking out loud here, if I'm him, I'm saying I'm starting at Jacoby Myers' money. I was just as
20.
impactful, if not more impactful, than Jacoby Myers. If he could do it again, I'm not just doing based off.
Yeah,
this
that's
year.
right. If this year you want to see,
I got to
And
see
remember,
that
it
again.
always increases.
Yeah.
This time next year, we will have another highest paid wide
Absolutely.
receiver.
Right.
And
But I would start there.
I'm sure
I
it'll,
would.
over 20 million.
Yeah. And Jacoby had 3 straight seasons of over 800 yards, then the 1,000-yard, then over 800 last year. And so you'd be paying Parker that based off of 2 seasons of that compared to Jacoby having 5 seasons.
Okay,
of
well,
that.
maybe a little bit less, But then again, inflation after next year, you know.
But
you
they
might
also
start
go
there
up
anyway.
again.
The Jags also didn't have Parker Washington as one of their top targets to start this season. He certainly wasn't that prior to that.
Right.
And now I think he certainly is more of a focus. The Jaguars did at least make an offer for Jake Bobo, but the Seahawks decided to retain him. So he will get not quite JSN money as his first right of refusal was $3.52 million. So non-guaranteed salary for this upcoming season, just under $4 million.
They thought high enough of him in Seattle, to put that tender on it. It's going to cost you something to get him. And we get the right to match it, and they match it. They got a ton of money, They're throwing it around. By the way, I wonder if they're going to – Witherspoon got his 5th-year option. I wonder if they're going to do Devon Witt, the corner. He's one of the best in the league. I mean, if I'm him, I'm like, yo, I'm over here. It's my Monday, next Monday, all right? We're going to meet at the bank because he's going to make a ton of money and should. But, again, I was saying this earlier, like, you look at that GM, like just those 2 players, JSN and Devon Witherspoon, home runs. I mean, absolute home runs in the same draft. I mean, that's picking them, man. That's like to have those kind of impactful players, not only to draft them, but significant. Now they're there and they're going to be there for a while. Like that's pretty awesome.
That's what the Jaguars envisioned that Travis Hunter will be and be both of have the ability to have both of those impacts.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's we know what he could do as a corner when he's healthy. And we just pray that he's healthy, because if we get him all year round, it will change the defense. They'll be that much better.
Yeah.
Definitely. He'll be a difference maker. It'll help the rush. It'll help coverage. It'll help Campanile be able to call certain things because he can lock down his end or his side or his player, whatever it may be. So he's, we're praying that he comes back for him healthy so he can have his career, and then for us after that so we can win some football games. But it's big year for him. And look, if he continues, he'll be right up there. He'll be one of the best. Paid, highest paid.
If he really became, let's say, a Pro Bowl receiver and a Pro Bowl corner, I can only imagine the contract that he would be able to get.
I don't even know where you begin with that, honestly.
Right.
By the way, Seattle also got Zach Charbonnet in that draft, too.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Wow. What a draft.
Yeah.
That's when, that's the teams that stick around. They draft really, really well, and they hit on their free agents, especially the ones that they pay a lot of money to.
They got Cameron Young, the Players' Championship winner. It was a defensive tackle. I was like, wow, that's interesting.
It's a very common name. I had a golden moment, and no, it's not Iowa beating Florida in the NCAA basketball tournament, which we started our show with. But Wes Rucker, I told y'all a few weeks ago, he passed away February 19th of a car accident, and that's not the golden moment. But Tennessee, so Wes Rucker covered Tennessee for his full 20-year career, and very beloved sports guy up there in Knoxville, and Tennessee baseball had his son, 4-year-old son, throw out the first pitch on Saturday night of their game, and the mom was there and
that's so
cheering
sweet.
him on. Yeah, it was really cute, and so I was
That's
like, you know
awesome.
what? I don't always love Tennessee, but shout out to Tennessee athletics for putting that together and
That's
bringing
cool.
some joy into that family's life that you know is going through it.
I love that. I love those moments. It made me think of the USA men's hockey, because obviously the Gaudreau, they had the jersey for, and they had. I saw an interview with his wife, with Johnny's wife, and she was saying that because they were like, was this pre-planned? And she said no. She was looking down and she saw her phone started ringing, and she wasn't paying attention because she's like celebrating. Obviously, USA men's hockey just won, and then she said she saw one of them, maybe one of the Kachucks, on their phone, and so she just happened to glance down, and he was calling her and was like, "Can we bring the kids out on the ice? Like we really want to." I was like, I would lose it in that moment. Like I would just be bawling, crying. But and she just was like, it meant so much for me to be able to just see them and like the boys get to celebrate on the ice and all of that. So
I saw that their sister, remember it was during her wedding festivities that they were killed, and the sister is now expecting. So she did get married, and at least they'll have some more joy, because I know both brothers left kids behind. All right, Pest of the Day awaits on the other side. Don't go anywhere. It's Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday, 10 to XL 92.5 FM.
Live streaming from the XL Digital Studios. Brightened by Harbor Dental Care, Jacksonville's first choice for dental emergencies.
Want to show off that backyard flex? Purple Heart Pools, a veteran-owned pool company right here in Jacksonville, is offering a brand new custom pool and spa package for a flat $75,000. All in, no bait, no switch. You heard that right. Only $75,000 for a custom pool and spa. Now's the time to break ground. Game days, summer nights, and neighborhood envy included. Schedule a free consultation today at purpleheartpools.com. Purple Heart Pools, Jacksonville's veteran pool company.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm that has experience and capabilities to handle any legal issue a business is confronted with. Learn more about what they can do for you at jimersonfirm.com.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick. We're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by May 14th.
Instant Keys is turning 25. A quarter century of saving the day when your keys mysteriously vanish.
Seriously, it was just in my pocket.
Or when that remote fob decides to quit working.
The dealership is such a hassle.
For 25 years, Instant Keys has been the go-to locksmith service for car keys, house keys, transponders, re-keys, and even high-tech smart locks. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you for honest, professional locksmith service. Use Instant Keys.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. Clayton, you talk a lot about a diamond's cut grade. Why is a diamond graded for cut?
Frank, that's simple. We cut grade diamonds to show a measurement of beauty and light return to the person looking at the diamond so they can understand the value difference between a diamond cut for maximum beauty and one cut for maximum weight. Now, it gets a little more complicated when you find out that the American Gem Society Laboratory actually assigns performance grades and proportion grades using patented computer software and grades for polish and symmetry using a microscope. The end result of cut grading is a final grade that can go from a 0 or ideal to a 10, which is poor. Each of these grades are priced a little differently. That's why you can see a diamond with a fine color and clarity priced low, particularly on the internet, because a trained gemologist won't buy it for resale because of the poor cut. Unfortunately, these type deals aren't good deals. They're bad deals for the unknowing customer.
Underwoods in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
What does your dream backyard look like? The team at CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living can design an outdoor kitchen layout custom built to your taste and lifestyle. You dream it, they can build it. At CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living, CSSOutdoor.com.
There's no doubt that we were in good hands when our son's shoulder and hip issues were diagnosed quickly by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. No matter what your orthopedic issue is, let Southeast Orthopedic Specialists take a look. You'll be glad you did.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah.
Tom McManus, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Time now for the Pest of the Day, is always brought to you by our friends at Terminix. You can find them online at Terminix.com. That's TERMINIX.com. They do a fantastic job of taking care of any pest issues that we have at our house, as well as Everbank Stadium, ViStar Ballpark, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, and all of your favorite event venues around town. Just a reminder that Florida State game tomorrow night is at ViStar Ballpark. First pitch is at 6 p.m. Y'all can probably guess that my pest of the day is going to have to do something, or have to do with last night's basketball game and something with that. I think I'm going to make it Florida's defensive miscues. I think that's going to be today's pest. I suppose I could choose an Iowa person, but in the end, they probably deserved to win that game more than Florida did. It just is it leaves such a bitter taste, I think, in Gator fans' mouths, because we saw this team play so well. And I likened it to the Jaguars earlier. It's very similar. When the Jaguars beat the Broncos that day, that Sunday, when the Broncos hadn't lost in 3 months, right? And they put up 34 on that vaunted defense. Like, in that moment, Jaguars fans thought, okay, this team has a chance to actually get to the Super Bowl. And the only difference, of course, the Jaguars didn't win the Super Bowl last year. Florida did win the national championship last year, so that takes a little bit of the sting away. But still, I think it was a really rough night for a lot of Gator fans.
Yeah, and with such a good coach like Golden, you'd think he wouldn't have made the miscues at the end, especially having that guy wide open. That wasn't very smart.
And I can only imagine when you're one of those players. Obviously, we saw the Florida players so upset, the Iowa players ecstatic. But 10 seconds, we'll call it. It's really like 8 seconds, but changes the outcome of your life. Right? And just in those few seconds.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the craziest things about basketball in general, but college basketball, because at the end they added that time to the clock. So at first it was like 3.4 seconds, then it goes up to 4.5. And I was like, whoa, that's a lot of time. That's plenty of time for Florida to get down there and just get something in. And so that's how 4.5 seconds and most things in life is nothing. And then in that you're like, plenty of time. Like, you've got this. And then, the way that happened, it had to be, Todd Golden at the end the last 2 minutes to me felt like he was out coached in that final 2 minutes.
Yeah. And again, I don't know why, I don't mind Lynn driving, but Lee. I don't mind Lee driving.
Earlier when you said Lynn, I was like, I have no idea who that is. And then I was like, oh yeah, Xavier Lee. He's putting those together like Puka Nacua.
Correct. But dish it out to Hawk. See, I'm on a roll. Number 10, he was your best shooter, it felt like. And by the way, I meant to ask earlier, number 7 came in late in the game and had a spark, hit a couple shots. Then they took him out, and he never went back in again.
So Urban Klobuchar's not as good defensively. And
he's smaller, right?
Yeah, because he's smaller. But he is their best shooter as far as from 3. But Hauck was obviously all season long their overall best player. A year ago, he was the kind of the glue that held the team together, and he obviously worked so hard, and you can see how just emotional he was after the game, because he knows how many hours went into this, and this team was really close. He and Alex Condon were roommates the last 3 years together, and it's all going to be broken up. Even if multiple guys return, it's still Xavier Lee's out of eligibility. Hauck will probably go to the NBA draft, and then we'll see about Kondo and Ruben Shinyelu. It's just. Boogie Fland and the guards just at the end of the day just didn't quite get enough done.
Yeah, I think that's what caught up.
Overall, they lost that game to me in the first half. Yes, the end of game was a hard part, but you just didn't come out with the same type of energy that you did in the first half of most games this season. Like I said earlier, Florida only won one close game all year. Most of the time they were out there, if they were winning, they were out there destroying teams.
The Vandy game, they were down early, right? And then came back and won it.
The first Vandy game?
Or I don't remember, one of them, because I remember I think they mentioned in the broadcast they were like, they haven't had to really deal with these comebacks much this season where they've had to do it. So it'll be interesting. But then they pointed to I want to say they said the Vandy game, the one example, they were like, but the one time they really did, they came back and they were able to, because they won the first one. Did they win?
They beat
the first
Vanderbilt
one.
at Vanderbilt.
Yeah, maybe it was that one they were talking about. But those are the situations where last year's Florida team, you never really felt they could be down 10 after half, and you were like, it's fine because Walter Clayton's going to score 20 in the second half, and you just didn't. You were waiting for. You're like, who is that going to be in this game outside of counting everything, obviously, on Houck and what he's able to do, and then Chenyulu, you wanted some of that to come out of something to come out of that too. When you weren't able to play your type of game fully, you thought because Todd Golden's been so good at shifting things that you'd be like, it's okay. And when they came back, you felt like it was there. Okay, Todd Golden's figured it out. But late, it just didn't all come together, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The gods. You got to get those gods going.
I'm just glad I don't know anyone that graduated from Iowa. That's what I'm happy about. All right, let's say hello to the Frangie Show.
Now, the 2-minute drill is driven by nobody but Nimnicht. Nimnicht Chevrolet on Cassett Avenue and Nimnicht Buick GMC on Phillips Highway.
Hayes, were you gutted like that team was last night?
Yeah, I mean, how could you not be? You know, I mean, they've had a great run.
Sure.
You know, and winning the national title last year certainly helps ease the sting, but yeah, he just didn't see. I watched Iowa beat Clemson, and with like 2 minutes left, I was texting Buddy saying, whoever wins this game is not beating Florida on Sunday. Like, they just didn't look like they were capable of doing it. Well, so how did it happen? It was the perfect storm of Florida coaching and playing about as badly as they can. And so, really, I mean, hardly anybody had a game that was even redeemable. Houck was terrible in the first half. Then we got it going. Condon was a turnover machine again. And that's before you get to Chinelu, Handlogden not showing up at all. I mean, it was just, and Todd Golden, who's been masterful at working games, just called a bad game. I mean, 9-minute drought in the first half.
Never happens.
Never. I mean, that might be triple as long as any drought they've had in the regular season. So it was stunning. And then the defensive lapse at the end, pressing when you don't need to. It was just a perfect storm of errors, and they deserve to get beat.
Were you yelling a lot at the TV, Hayes?
I was. Well, I've had this for like...
Yeah,
Tom
you missed last week.
Okay.
This is actually
his new
getting
voice.
better. Yeah, this is my new shtick. But yeah, so had to protect the voice. So wasn't screaming a lot, but there really wasn't much to scream about. I mean, from a positive standpoint.
I was yelling at the refs a lot last night. I will say that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird.
Somebody had to take my anger.
Yeah, it was a strange. All the other games I watched, I watched basketball pretty much since the tournament began. Every other game I watched, there'd be like 2 to 4 fouls in each half called.
Yeah.
It was so, and I guess just because they got so heated early. But like Iowa gets called for their, I want to say like 7th foul. They got in the bonus pretty early in the second half, like with like 12 minutes. Then they get called again for a foul for like until like 3 minutes left in the game. Now, again, that's not why Florida lost.
Right.
Florida lost because they played like crap and they deserved to lose. And Iowa, to their credit, hung in and made the plays they had to make. But yeah, it felt like the officials never really got into a good rhythm of it. But that Florida just some F performances across the board, which you just never see. So we'll certainly break all of it down, look at where the program is headed, and talk a little Jaguars coming up on the Frangie Show.
All right, sounds good. Thanks,
Thank
Hayes.
you.
Yeah, so how was work back after taking a private jet to the British
It's like
Virgin
I never
Islands?
left. Feel like I never left. Poor Hayes with that voice, man. Jeez.
Like you said, it's
37 fouls, by
it's
the
getting
way,
better.
between the two teams.
37?
37, 19 for Iowa and 18 for Florida.
Yeah, and
At
I'm
least
not,
it's even.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and say if it was a different officiating crew, Florida wins that game.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that, but it was an atrocious performance by the officials. That is for sure. All right, that'll do it for us today. For Taylor Dahl, for Tom McManus, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow, but don't go anywhere. The Frangie Show is next.